This video is powered by LearnToPlay.live, the only hardware synth performance course. Register now and enjoy 40% off. When you perform your live set, you want to stick to the beaten path. You don't want to stray from the path, because what happens is some surprises might occur that you didn't anticipate for, and you don't want to lose your crowd. However, if you're doing longer extended sets, you might end up being a little bit too predictable, so there are tricks to overcome that. What I'm using are Techno Filter tricks, and I'm going to show you those today. Are you ready for it? Let's go and do that right now. Hey, what's up? I'm Menlo Kitchen, and thank you for checking out yet another video. Now, if this is your first time here, don't hesitate to click subscribe and hit that notification bell. Whenever I upload a new video, you'll be kept in the loop and you'll not miss out on anything. Stick around till the end of this video. I will tell you all about the mixer. I will tell you all about LearnToPlay.live, and there's so much more that I'm going to tell you, especially Super Booth, which is coming up, and we're doing an event. Stay tuned. When I performed, I was like constantly thinking I want to stick to this certain routine, because I've made live sets that varied in sound, varied in pitch, varied in tempo, and you know, I don't want to cater to everybody, because you cannot please everyone in the room. Some people are there for drum and bass, some people are there for just techno, some people are there for the sound, some people are there for the equipment. That's just a hodgepodge of people on the dance floor. You cannot always woe them. There's one thing that I've seen in electronic music that always works for everybody, and that's the sound that you can't really pinpoint, the sound that is there but does the trick. Those really like sounds that are modulated, sometimes by LFO, sometimes by filter. Now, how to do it? Today I'm going to show you a trick that I'm using by literally going out of the CV outputs, out of my MPC, and just like going into the filter input on the subsequent 37. Now, CV stands for control voltage, and that's a way of controlling a synthesizer remotely by telling it certain things and giving it some electrical values. And that is a cool thing to do if you would like to just like alter the sound while it's already playing. Now, control voltage is where you can just like tell the synth to play different notes in a range. So by pitch CV, filter CV will just open and close the filter, or gate CV is what stops and starts notes or stops and starts sequences. CV is a powerful tool, but when you buy a full-on synthesizer, which is like a subsequent 37, most of it is already hardwired onto the panel, which means if you're not savvy on how to program the sequencer, you might not get to that point where a sound does a few things. Now, if you've heard all these techno LFOs in the recent tracks, you know somebody is really programming that stuff, but how can you get to that? Can you do it by means of a live performance situation that doesn't entail you to program too many things on the fly? Now, I think that that's very possible. I will just go into my live set and I will show you how I use my different things, different elements, and yeah, let's go and do that. I've got the Octatrack sitting here as the brain of the operation. When I start this, everything is going to work. That's how I've pretty much set it up. I've got a TBR3 sitting here. So you can hear it, it's now dry as a bone, as you can hear. And on the mixer here, the AKm1 Mixer, I can just add a little bit of reverb. Let's do that. Yeah, I think that the room would be cool. So we can give it a little bit of room. Now, why, you might debate, are you using reverb on the TBR3 if it's got effects? But it's either or here, so I opted to go for the delay that's on here. That's delay. Different types of delay though, but I'm using the delay sometimes. It's cool. So basically, start the Octatrack, the MPC will run, the TBR3 will run, and the black box will run. On the black box, I've got samples that I can just like launch, pretty much like Ableton, from my little MIDI fighter sitting right here. So these 16 different buttons which are dual concentric. Press them and you'll launch something. Twist them and you can either map it to do volume or filters or whatever. That's something that's on this little device, so that's taking care of that. And then certain outputs out of my 1010 black box, on which I have samples that correspond to the track that I am running, are going through the acid box. And the acid box is a filter that hails from the Polyvox synthesizer, which was a Russian synthesizer, if I'm correct. And the filter segment, Erica Synths have redone this filter, so it's a nice stereo filter, which is cool because there's a lot of mono filters. I love stereo filters, so I'm using certain sounds in here. There's a filter in here also, but then you have to menu dive and do certain things or map it to this. Then, you know, I don't like it. It's just, I need a stupid analog kitchen proof filter, meaning closed went to the left, open went to the right. Pretty simple. Then the subsequent 37 are main culprit of the day, which is perpendicular to the rest of the sound. So a nice setup right here. The MPC-1 can do similar things as the Octatrack. Obviously, you can stick samples in there, you can time stretch, you can do so many different things. There's clip launching in here. There's a lot of stuff that it can do. This does not clip launch, by the way, the Octatrack, but I don't like everything the Akai MPC-1 has to offer. I repeat, I do not like everything that the MPC Live has to offer. I understand it can give you breast milk from a virgin, then again, I'm not looking for that, so I don't want it. I want it for MIDI, meaning this thing can take care of so many different devices at once. Whether it be USB MIDI, whether it be 5-pin DIN MIDI, I love the MPC for that. Other people use it for drums, no problem. I have experienced if I'm asking too much from it, it's going to kick me in the butt. I don't want that. So what I'm using it for, MIDI. So basically, out of the Octatrack into the Akai MPC-1 in terms of MIDI, then out of the, and then there's a different pin that I'm using for my MIDI. I can, this is something I really shouldn't do, but I'm going to do it, so I'm going to show you. Get out of here. Okay, so what you can see is a trick that I'm using. This is a dual MIDI plug by RetroKits. And RetroKits make these really cool MIDI devices. Now what's happening is that the black box has got a different type of MIDI than the TB03. This is a MIDI plug that has two ins because certain MIDI points are wide like this and others are wide like that. So it's just weird for a protocol that's been around like forever that still people tend to interpret MIDI in their own sort of way. But in this case, it's cool because now I get to just like trigger different things, because coming out of the black box, it will not trigger the Roland TB03 because I have to have another switch over on this end, but this is TRS MIDI, which is, again, you know, so it's cool that this thing now gets two, it sends out two different styles of MIDI. Cool. Minitaur for bass, that's on track 1 here. So this is my, it's playing already, I can see that it's playing. Do I hear it? No, I don't. Because it's muted. I got something here. I got something here. Old school house cats know exactly what that's all about. Okay, so that's this bad boy. Then this bad boy is next to it. Woo. Isn't it bizarre how this is analog? This is digital. You almost can make it out when it's filtered down. Different video. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to stop this. So playing this means that starts, and that starts, right? So these are the ones that have their own clock, meaning they get pushed off the hill and they will run, and the other ones has to follow along by MIDI information that you either play in. So I see that I've played something here. Let's just delete that quick fast because you know what, otherwise you think I'm Milli Vanilli my way out of here. No, I will actually show you that I can record something here. Shift and cut, get out of here. Okay, so the notes are gone. The notes that I have got on the Subsequent 37 are just long extended notes. So it's playing this woo, sort of like a drone sound, which is cool. Why? Because I use two different channels, now two different tracks I should say, on the MPC one. One is the MIDI track that I'm using right now, so I can play notes usually. So you can hear. Nice, so that's that, you know. But I'm also using a CV track. Now on this CV track there's a few things that I have to make sure that work. For instance, if I wanted to engage this filter from a distance, I can now say, if the notes are playing, let's see if that happens, if I play this. You hear a note, right? You hear? Now I can, essentially I'm doing this. And then here, the mod wheel doesn't do anything. And now I'm going to engage that CV1, that control voltage 1, on the modulation wheel. And now that's interesting, because what I'm going to use here is note repeat. So if I'm going to engage note repeat, and I say like, okay, I can get a certain measure, it now will. And of course, I'm not an idiot. I don't want to be standing here like forever waiting for a bus. So I'm going to say note repeat and shift, meaning now it's. Obviously, that also is not going to be like, okay, what's happening? So I would like to go for different measures. Say what if we went for. See if that works with a 303. That's already working, right? Okay, obviously that and that, meaning the subsequent and the TB03 are exactly in the same house. Meanwhile, they're both standing in the doorway. I can just kind of make out who is standing where. So we need to space them apart. How are we going to do that? We're going to make sure that the frequencies don't align. In other words, to make it very simple, pitch this one up. That means that it's now in a different frequency range. And now you will hear. Cool, right? Okay, so, but this can also do completely different measures. Like, for instance, it can do triplets, which is cool. Now, there's also pitch CV that's not engaged, because it would mean that the note, it will just now change different keys over the keyboard, and that's not what I want. I only want the gate information and the modulation wheel information, so I can do different things. Nice, right? Okay, so that is the trick that I'm using in order to spice up my track. Right now, let's alter the sound of the TB03 and enter a little bit more sounds into the room. Make this a little bit more bassy. Add a little bit of delay in there. And enter a little bit of that reverb in here, because this thing is so sweet. Like, ah, I love you, my baby. Ooh, nice. Now, as I said, there are drums also playing on tracks 2 up until track 7. Track 8 is the master track, which means that if I'm entering all the drums in, this I can mute for some reason. This I can. Track 8 here, so that's cool. Okay, drums. Nice. Woo. So, as an effect, I can do that, right? Which is cool. And the note is already playing, so. And I'm using this as a catalyst, as a sort of like a sample and hold catalyst that could really propel my beat forward. Okay? So, meaning if I'm going to enter in some sounds that I have, these are sounds coming from the 1010 black box when I'm build up the track, right? With a nice chord change going up, back to the beginning. And obviously, we're gonna go in and play around with this. So I can play with that little thing right here. Now this is going. Nice, add in another arp here. Nice one. Now you can build a drop, like saying like, okay, let's take out this. Play around with this again. And you build your track up, you know, pretty simple. So now, those are ingredients that I've got sitting on the track right here. So I build the track up, and then there's a big, huge drop that goes through the filter. But I love the fact that this now is something that I can either program here, because now I've just got these long notes, obviously. That can be something else, right? I mean, obviously, let's go in and see if we can make that work. You know, I'm gonna go into my sub 37 sounds. I would say, you know, get out of here. You know, I'm just going to delete them. Don't you want to do that? Okay, then I'll do it this way. Shift and cut, and then they're gone. and get to the right key. Okay, let's see if we can do something here. One, two, three, go. One, two, dabba, dabba. Nice. See if I can record it in. After we can redo this. Undo. Nice. Okay, now I've recorded the chord scheme that I already have with something that I've got sitting right here. Cool. What I will do is I will go to the next shift. So now you got the playing here, and you've got the long note playing here. Let's make it drop. Nice. Let's try that out. Of course. See if I can record that. Nice. So now we've recorded in our little craziness, which means that we don't have to worry about nice. Okay, we go to our different bass line here, which is the nice. Let's record it in. Whoa. Undo. Nice one. Okay, and there's something that I screwed up. So let's say undo, because it doesn't work on triplets. So now that we've got the quantized sitting there, we can play. Undo. So it plays the same as that. Nice. Okay, let's try. Okay. Did you see how when everything starts to come together, the TB03 almost starts to sound like a tom. Boom. So this becomes a groove in itself. And you still got a lot of headroom here. Liking it. Yeah, I'm liking this. There's your bass line. Okay, turn this one off. And this is just playing as another catalyst. I want to hear it a little bit more clear, the TB03, so we go. Nice, right? Cool. Yeah, well, pretty much that's how I think it can work. I love the fact that, you know, I mean, I just now went into another sequence, but the trick to do is, you know, see if you can play around with different elements here. Because if I am muting this CV track, there's my bass line again. So I can just now go to a different CV track, do that same thing, for instance, right? We'll go here, we create this will be a tetra, say we make another CV track, and we'll just do the same thing. CV2 is going to be CV1, CV1 that's what we're not going to use, and then here, so it does the same thing, right? So we can, so if you're more a drummer than you are a keyboard player, this is an absolute cool trick to use, right? Okay, back to my bass line here. You catch my drift, pretty much. You know what I'm saying. So I love the fact that this now opens up the filter and it does different tricks, different things. The thing I think I would like to also see and have, which is not here, it's just basically opening and closing the filter. It would be nice to have a slew, you know, where you can, you know, give it a little bit of how much of the filter is opening up, because now everything opens and closes. But you know what, for sake of what I'm trying to do here, it's pretty cool. So I've got two tracks. Of course I'm going to label this then CV2, and then this is like CV1 over here, CV1 say Let's be a little bit more rigid. CV1, yep, and then this other track is going to be CV2, you guessed it, CV2 space. And what I'll do is I'll record something on CV1 and I will not record something on CV2. Now this, if you map this away on a MIDI controller and you get to just like mute the different tricks, because these mutes you can MIDI map away. Now all of a sudden this will play this if you wanted to. You did, boom, it's different track. Then you can just like do different things that you would normally, you normally won't be able to do with just two hands. Now, this is a trick that I'm using. I hope it's helpful. It's a little bit out there, I know that, but you know what? Yeah, that's just how I think I work it. Let me know in the comment section below whether this is tickling your fancy, yes or no. And yeah, a few tricks that I have encountered on my journeys and on my performances, and this stuff is what we teach at LearnToPlay.live. Now, LearnToPlay.live is going to be a platform dedicated to DAWless performing, dedicated to getting better, crossing your ears, making the right choices, what to buy, what not to buy, how to fly, how to package, how to connect stuff. You know, there's so many different elements within this sort of like niche of the performance aspect as opposed to DJing. The most courses that I know are DJ courses, but there's just a lot more that goes into play with this type of performance. So what do you want to buy? How much money would you need to spend? You know, and see it as an investment to really get going. And you know, maybe you've been thinking about wanting to perform for a long time, or you're just in your studio and you're in the hamster wheel, what we call in the loop, and you just can't get out of the loop. We're going to help you out with I've got a nice selection of cool teachers that are going to help me out, like DJ Pierre, for instance, and Joe Smooth, and Atti Bau, who is a Grammy-nominated sound engineer, mind you, Trovarsi, Gerrit, he is from Retro Kids. I've got Enrico Della Versana, who works over at AKm1 Mixer, and I've also got a Funk Devoid on board. So do check out LearnToPlay.live. The course starts in September. It's going to be a 32-week full course every week, and it's going to be either physical, so you can just like come and join where we are in the world, or you get to just stream, watch the live stream. And the top 3 runner-up of this class 25-26 is going to get and gain a vinyl release, and the 3, 4, and 5, the 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the class are going to do remixes. So I'd like to look at market conformity. It's cool to learn something, but you know, how are you going to put it into practice? So we are very much on to getting your stuff into practice. You know, you will be performing at Kitchen Club events. We are going to host a lot of seminars, webinars, that kind of stuff. Which brings me to Super Booth. Obviously, that is the one flagship sort of like event of the year for us synth lovers. Now that's going to be in Berlin the 7th, the 8th, the 9th and the 10th of May. And the 9th of May we are going to be hosting our Kitchen Club night, and we do that together with Raw Industries Berlin, which is an outfit in Berlin. They do techno, they're really cool, with Tomo. Now we've got like Honey Smack also confirmed, you know, Rough is going to play, Rough Live is going to play, 45 kilohertz is going to play, I will be playing, there will be a lot of people. I'll throw a link in the description, and we're going to be really excited to be in Berlin. This is our maiden voyage into Germany, and Berlin, obviously the place to be when it comes to electronic dance music, I might say. So that's going to be cool. So tickets are up for grabs already for that, so do check that out. Now the mixer, you'll see me talk about it. Let's quickly go over there. Yeah, this is it. this is what it is. The AKm1, for lack of a better name, but why not? You know what I mean? Let's not make it too complicated. So yeah, there's two things on this mixer. There's our two turntable faders, as you can see, with the low, mids and highs. And this is your gain control for the channel, and these are stereo auxiliary sends. Send 1, send 2, send 3, and the returns are over here, 1, 2, and 3. This is a global filter, so you engage the filters by these lower switches here. You can get into a filter that clicks between high pass, mid-range, low pass, and notch. And then obviously there is a master filter, low, mid, high on the master section. This is your room button. This is your booth mixer. And here are controls for the microphones and for the headphone auxiliaries and stuff. Crossfader that you can assign, and these little holes that are not filled up are going to be programmable mutes and programmable solos. So if you are playing, you've got like all these different sequences running, you can just like now engage certain things. So instead of just like programming and CVing and, you know, I mean, obviously that's what I did today, but if you would like to have a sequence with more the techno route, you can just now pre-fader listen. Is it cool? Am I going to throw it into the room? Yes, it's cool. Okay, boom, throw it into the room. So easy. Program stuff beforehand that you hear, that the crowd doesn't hear, and then you just like, you know, you alter your structure of your song right here. You can do it over here. That's something that's going to be embedded on the final mixer. Now the EQs are, this is 3-band, as I told you. This is dual concentric, meaning this would be the frequency, and this would be the volume. So that center is 0, and it goes up to 6, and it goes to -24. So it's pretty much kill switch. So when you turn it off, it's gone. So you can sweep through the frequencies. This goes from 50 to 1K. 50 to 1K, and this goes from 1K all the way up to 18, I think it is. And we're still toying with what we want and how we want it. So now that's the mixer, few meters blah. There's a rec out, a booth out, and then a main out, and it goes through nice transformers here. There's also an input transformer, so ideally you could say this thing sounds like a Neve mixer. It's pretty much that. That's the kind of transformers we've used. Now, that's that. If you made it this far into the video, you sir or ma'am are an absolute superstar. Thank you for watching. I'm Analog Kitchen. Don't be a stranger. You can check out the chat after the video. That's where the whole congregation congregates. If you want to get closer, you want to get into that chat, do that by joining up at patreon.com/analogkitchen. Now also on Patreon, I've got the Dollars Bible, which is a PDF with all these different things that I'm talking about, all the research that I've been doing throughout the years, so stuff that I'm just like picking my brain, you know, which is cool. So, and you won't be breaking the bank. It'll be not more than a coffee. Cheers. Now, if anything else, keep watching this space. I guess that concludes our broadcast day. Once again, I'm Analog Kitchen, and I'm out. Peace.